Om Sthapakaya cha dharmasya sarvadharmaswarupine avataravarishthaya Ramakrishnaya te namaha. Yonda pravishyamam avachamimam prasuptam sanjeevayadi akhila shaktidhara sudhamna anyamscha hastacharana shravanatvagadin pranan namo bhagavate purushaya tubhyam. Today we are coming to the end of this discussion on the philosophy known as the Achintya-Bheda-Abheda. It is one of the most prominent school of Vaishnavism. It's called Bengal Vaishnavism. It's the most prominent school. Originally, it was expounded by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who was born in the 16th century. Philosophically and metaphysically, it is linked to the Dvaita school of Madhvacharya and some other philosophical schools in India. For example, is Dvaita Advaita of Nimbarka and Shuddha Advaita of Vallabha. There are many common teachings between Chaitanya school and the schools of Madhvacharya, Nimbarka and Vallabha. Now, is it known as Achintya-Bheda-Abheda? So, as I mentioned at the very beginning, I shall just slowly sum up the whole thing, and then I shall today devote the time to discuss the contribution of the most well-known philosopher proper of Chaitanya school, Baladeva Vidyabhushana, who wrote a commentary on Brahma Sutras, which is called Govinda-Bhashya, which is one of the well-known books to be studied by serious students of Chaitanya school. So technically in English it's called inconceivable or simultaneous oneness and difference. That is, the absolute reality, Brahman, conceived as Krishna in the Chaitanya school, and the world and different living beings, Jivas and Jagat. There is an element of identity, non-difference, and also there is an element of difference, though Abheda and Bheda both are accepted. So that the relationship is technically called Achintya, means inconceivable, incomprehensible, mysterious, so to speak. Chaitanya himself, though he was a scholar, he did not write too many books, except one very well-known hymn, Sikshastakam, 8 verses, which actually portrayed the character, the philosophy, the way of life of a typical Vaishnava who is a follower of Chaitanya. But after Chaitanya, there were 6 learned men who wrote books on Chaitanya school. Of them, the 3 are more important, they're more well known, that Rupa Goswami, Jiva Goswami and Sanatana Goswami. We already discussed some of their important works in the previous session, so we won't repeat them again. And among them, the most well-known one who came little later in 18th century, the beginning 18th century, was Baladeva Vidyabhushana, who wrote a well-known book which is called Govinda-Bhashya, which is technically a commentary on Brahma Sutras. Now, in the Vedantic tradition, there is a well-maintained practice, traditional practice, that anyone to be called an acharya, technically a authentic teacher, should write a commentary on Vedanta Sutras, Brahma Sutras. So it is said that during one of his discussions or debates with other scholars in Vrindavan, some other scholars put this question to Baladeva: have you written a commentary on Vedanta Sutras? So immediately he was reminded of this important flaw in their tradition. So it so happened that he wrote a commentary on Brahma Sutras, which is known as Govinda-Bhashya. I mentioned at the very beginning some of the relationship and connections between Chaitanya school and other schools which also have these elements of both identity and also difference. One is Bhaskara, the earliest of them. Just after Shankaracharya, a great philosopher emerged in India, in southern states of India. And his philosophy is not very much studied these days. His name is Bhaskaracharya in the 8th and 9th century. So he was the great philosopher. And then, of course, we got Ramanuja, who also, in a way, Visishta Advaita. So, Chit Achit Visishta Advaita. There is an element of Advaita or identity or non-difference, but also at the same time, there is neither complete identity as in Shankaracharya or complete difference as in Madhva. So, in that respect, you can find some connection between Bhaskaracharya's Bheda-Abheda and Ramanuja. Again, coming to Chaitanya school, you find technically many traditional philosophers claim that Chaitanya system is metaphysically linked to the Dvaita school of Madhvacharya. But then there are, of course, some very fundamental differences that you have to keep in mind, especially those who claim that, especially in southern states, there is a tendency to claim that Govinda Bhashya or Baladeva, in which he elaborated these philosophical doctrines, or Chaitanya, the Goswamis, their teachings are closely linked to Madhva system. But this is not at all fully accepted by modern scholars or even the three great Goswamis, Rupa Goswami, Jiva Goswami and Sanatana Goswami. Of them, Jiva Goswami made tremendous contribution to the metaphysical foundations of the system. Now, Madhva and Chaitanya both agree in certain points. For example, Madhva, according to Madhva, Jiva or the individual soul is a servant. Anu is called just a micro aspect of Brahman. So, but always different and distinct. So, the difference is overemphasized in Madhva system. But in Chaitanya system, the difference is not overemphasized because there is also an element of non-difference. So it is both bhinna and abhinna. And liberation, of course, liberation or moksha, spiritual enlightenment or liberation from the transmigratory cycle, is possible only by the grace of God in both Madhva system and also Chaitanya system. And again, there are similarities and there are differences. Madhvacharya says this world is real. And Chaitanya school also agrees with that this world is real. And this world is an evolute of God. In Chaitanya school, Krishna is the supreme God, the personal God. In Madhva system, Vishnu is the personal God. And he went to the extent of course, claiming that he himself was an incarnation of the two great mythological figures who are mentioned in our epics, Ramayana and Mahabharata. Madhvacharya himself claimed, or his followers claimed, that he was the reincarnation of Hanuman, an important character in Ramayana, and Bhima, an important character in Mahabharata. So there are differences and also there are similarities. And the world is real but not eternal, according to both of them. And again, of course, as I mentioned, Madhvacharya said, the Saguna, Savishesha, Sakara God, the personal God, with attributes, with different aspects, but it's a repository of all human qualities, is Vishnu, but it is Krishna in Chaitanya system. And Chaitanya says, contrary to the popular interpretation of Bhagavata Purana, Deshavatara, Bhagavata Purana, technically it's a description of the 10 incarnations of Vishnu, Matsya, Kurma, Varaha, etc. And now, Chaitanya system Baladeva and others, and Goswamis and others, they say Krishna is supreme. And Vishnu himself is an aspect of Krishna. And then again, of course, there are other similarities, frequently, and this is an important point, remember, in Indian theological and metaphysical systems. They always inquire as to who is the material cause, or what is the material cause of this world, or the different living beings, and who is the efficient cause. They're called Upadana Karana in Sanskrit, that's material cause, and efficient cause, it's called Nimitta Karana in Sanskrit. For example, a pot maker. A pot maker makes use of clay, that is, the clay is the Upadana Karana or material cause, out of which the clay pots are made. The pot maker is the efficient cause, and according to both Madhva and also Chaitanya, God or Brahman is the material and efficient cause. But we should always keep in mind, in all these systems, the word Brahman is used. So, the word Brahman, the ultimate reality, that's the implication. So, ultimate reality, according to Ramanuja, is Sriman Narayana. According to Madhva, it is Vishnu. According to Chaitanya, it is Krishna. And according to Vallabha, according to, the Vrindavan, the Krishna, Radha, different aspects of Vishnu or Krishna are accepted as the supreme reality. But the supreme reality is technically called Brahman in the metaphysical system. So you often find in the works, those who are not familiar with the original books or not taught by those who studied the original books, but we should keep in mind that the word Brahman is used in all these systems. But Brahman, according to each of them, is different. According to Shankaracharya, Brahman is the impersonal, attributeless, indescribable, transcendental, immanent, and omnipotent and omnipresent reality, which is supreme principle. The monotheistic aspects, the creator God aspects are accepted, but as we evolve further in our spiritual life, we realize that monotheistic God is existing and immanent in everyone, in everything, as one immanent divine reality, that is Brahman or Atman. Now, here is something very interesting about Chaitanya system. In Chaitanya system, the Saguna Savishesha Sakara, that means God with form, with attributes, with characteristics, with different qualities with which we identify that monotheistic God, is supreme. And the impersonal aspect is incomplete, it is obscure. Now, the position of Advaita is just reversed in Chaitanya system. To give an example, in Advaita system, which tells you that as you evolve further in spiritual life, you reach a point where you realize God as one supreme person. But even when you go beyond that, you realize the same God as one impersonal reality. Nirguna, Niragara, Nirvishesha. Brahman. What's it?
This is life. What happened to it?
So can you repeat? Some sound you can silence it if there is any problem. If any of you may have different views, we are just a objective analysis of different systems of philosophy. There is no reference to anybody's faith or anything. This is a comparative philosophical discussion. If
That's what I'm doing.
So, coming back to the subject.
Here, this is the sound.
Maharaj, Naman is still the host, and
hello? It's not There is a disturbance?
Maharaj, the mics are muted now, so you may continue.
Okay, thank you. So, it's a very interesting. So, according to Chaitanya system, when you don't get a clear picture, when you don't get a clear realization of God, then you may think He is an impersonal, attributeless reality. When you get a clear understanding, then you realize that God as a person. For Krishna, Krishna is a definite form, so great attributes, great qualities. So, when you don't reach to the highest level of spiritual realization, you may think of God as an impersonal divine spark. When you don't get a clear realization, when you get a clear realization, then you understand God in definite form. For example, when you look at the trees and mountains and valleys and vehicles and cars from one bank of the river, you look to the other bank of the river, you may not see things clearly. But when you get a clear vision, you find this is a house, this is a car moving, this is a tree, you get a clear picture. This is, anyway, maybe when we discuss further, when we be discussing Buddhism in the next coming lessons, we will get opportunity to come back to this comparative aspect of different metaphysical systems now. So, and then there is another important point, remember. Chaitanya system emphasizes these 5 moods or 5 ways of worshipping God: Bhakti, Shanta, Dasya, Sakhya, Vatsalya and Madhura bhavas. We already discussed looking upon God as if as if He is a king, looking yourself as God's servant, looking upon God as a friend, and looking at God as little child, and also as your lover. All these aspects are there in Chaitanya system. So there are differences and also there are similarities among these systems. Now we will come to one very important point that may perhaps make it little more clear and concrete. What I was trying to say. Most of you are familiar, those who have been listening to these classes, especially those who are listening to the Advaita and Ramanuja and Madhva systems, are familiar with the 4 Mahavakyas, 4 great statements from 4 Upanishads, each Upanishad representing one of the 4 Vedic traditions. For example, Tattwamasi is from Chandogya Upanishad, it is from Samaveda. Aham Brahmasmi is from Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, it is from Yajurveda. Then Ayamatma Brahma is from Mandukya Upanishad, from Atharvaveda, and Prajnanam Brahma, it is from Aitareya Upanishad, which is from Rigveda. Now, one of the most important Mahavakyas is Tattwamasi, it's very famous. Now, how Chaitanya system, Madhvacharya system and Shankaracharya system look upon and interpret these Mahavakyas, especially Tattwamasi. The statement comes in the Chandogya Upanishad. Those who are interested, you can listen. You can read the book. It is Chandogya Upanishad, chapter 6th, which contains 16 khanda, 16 sections. From 9th section, which is khanda, up to 16th one, there is a continuous discussion of this Tattwamasi Mahavakya. The Mahavakya is Tattwamasi, that it comes like the instruction given by a teacher and also the father to his son. Aidadatmimidam sarvam saya esha anima aidadatmimidam saya esha anima aidadatmimidam sarvam tatsatyam sa atma tattwamasi Shvetaketu. Uddalaga tells Shvetaketu, that which is the subtle principle, the self, the essence of the whole existence. The world as that Atman as itself, and thou art that, you are that, or that thou art. This is the instruction, Tattwamasi. Now, tat tum asi. That you are. That supreme reality, the God you're searching, it is present in you as a divine spark, but not the physical body, but rather what is within you, the essence, the essence of your being is the divine spark. Remember, behind and beyond these senses, the body, mind complex, there is one supreme divine spark, which is the essence of our true entity. And that reality is Atman, that is also the Brahman, it is the all-pervading divine spark. This is a metaphysical meaning. Now, it took Svetaketu quite a long time. 8 times this instruction is repeated, each time with a fresh example. Then only Svetaketu can understand that. And so he repeated, Bhuya eva ma bhagavan vijñāpayadu. Please repeat me once more, teach me once more. So the son requests his father to repeat, and the father requests, so tatha soumya itika uvacha. So the teacher, Uddalaka, repeats. Now comes the point. According to Madhvacharya, Tattwamasi, there is a problem here. So according to him, it is Atattwamasi. Saya esha anima aidadatmamidam sarvam tarsatyam sa atma tattwamasi. That's a word. But so according to Madhvacharya school, not Madhvacharya himself, it was written by Vyasatirtha in one of his most well-known and celebrated technical dialectical masterpiece. That's known as Nyayamritam, which is actually written to refute the doctrine of Mithyatvam explained in some of the earlier classical works of Advaita. For example, Padmapada's Panchapadika and Prakasa Medi's Panchapadika Vivarana, and then of course Tattva Pratibhika of Chitsukacharya and Anandabodha's Nyaya Deepavali. So there are certain definitions in all these important dialectical works which are written between, let's say, about 9th century. Padmapada was a contemporary and a disciple of Shankaracharya, up to around, let us say, about 15th century. So this went on. So Vyasatirtha is perhaps the most celebrated name after Madhvacharya, belonging to Dvaita tradition. In his dialectical masterpiece called Nyayamritam, he refutes this doctrine of Mithyatvam of Advaitins. Now, in that context, he says, Adyakhande Swadantri Shanka Anaspada Sushupti Nidarsanena Chaturthecha Anvaya Vidiregoktya Ashtamecha Swadantri Shanka Anaspada Marana Nidarsanena Cha Ishwaradhinatvasya Uktatvad Atat Ityeva Chedo Yuktaha. Now, I am coming to something. This is an important statement made by Vyasatirtha in Nyayamritam. The essence of the essence of this quotation is this. In this quotation from the Chandogya Upanishad, you find Aidadatmamidam sarvam tat satyam sa atma tattwamasi. Atma is one word, tattwamasi is the next word. Now Vyasatirtha does a little bit of gymnastics. So he says Atma Atattwamasi. So the long vowel A is added to the following word. So it is not Tattwamasi according to Vyasatirtha, it is Atattwamasi. What it means is you are not that. So you are not that divine spark. And according to Chaitanya school, Baladeva, he says, it is not Tattwamasi, it is Tasya Tum Asi. So what it means is, Tat should be read as Tasya. Tasya is Shashti Vibhakti, possessive case. So you belong to him. So Uddalaka said, that supreme reality, that divine reality that you are searching for, that you are striving to realize, that is you yourself. You turn the search towards yourself, you find that Atman as not different from yourself. That divine spark is within you. Uddalaka did not say that this Svetaketu, the poor boy, is Brahman. What Uddalaka said was, in Svetaketu, there is one divine spark. That is not the physical body, mind or senses, but rather the essence of his entity. Whatever enables us to speak, to act, to live, whatever gives life to a physical body-mind complex, that is that all-pervading divine spark. This is a real explanation according to Advaita. Now, according to Baladeva, he says Tattwamasi should be read as Tasya Tvamasi. You are his, or you belong to him. And according to, there is a Gauda Purnananda Chakravarti, he says Tattwamasi, there's an illusion. It means that should be understood to be present there, but it is dropped somehow. So, so that those little Sanskrit. So, Atma, one word, long vowel, Atma. Then next word is Tattwamasi. Now, according to Madhvacharya school, it is Atma Tattwamasi. So he wants to put the Tattwamasi and Atma together, Atma Tattwamasi. So Atattwamasi means you are not that, the opposite of it. So whenever you add akara, before a consonant Vyanjanakshara, it becomes the opposite of it. Sukham, Asukham. Nityam, Anityam. So like that, Atattwamasi. So this is a kind of, you can find this, of course, remember this is a well-known writer, Gauda Purnananda Chakravarti. He wrote this Tattva Muktavali, is a belong to Dvaita Sampradaya. Anyway, Govinda Bhashya, that is Baladeva's commentary on Brahma Sutras, he clearly emphasizes that Tattwamasi should be read as Tasya Tum Asi, means you are his, means you are his servant. So I wonder, how if Uddalaka had just said, Svetaketu, you are his servant, the Svetaketu would not have repeated for this request again and again and pleaded with his father to repeat that instruction 8 times. In the 9th Khanda, first Upadesha instruction, then up to 16th Khanda, 8 repetitions, each time with a fresh example, analogy. So, according to Baladeva, he agrees with Madhvacharya's school, that is Vyasatirtha's exposition of Tattwamasi. So, according to them, Jiva is Krishna's servant. That's the idea behind. But then, as I mentioned earlier, Baladeva's system has some fundamental differences from Dvaita school of Madhvacharya. Because in Madhva system, there is a complete and permanent and overemphasized distinction between God and the world, and then different objects in this world, different jivas and individual souls in this world, and difference between God and jivas, and difference between God and the world. So, Achintya-Bheda Siddhanta. But Chaitanya school doesn't agree with that, because there is Bheda, that is distinction or difference. There is Abheda, there is non-distinction and identity, because they call it Guna Guni Bhava, means Guna the world and jivas are gunas, Shakti from God, Krishna. Shakti, this world evolves, and also all living beings. And in that sense, there is a kind of a degree of some kind of a abheda or non-difference. At the same time, all the jivas remain permanently different and distinct in the status of a servant or a devotee in some kind of a subservient form from God. So now this is to be understood in the context of the actual interpretation of the text, especially that is Govinda Bhashya of Baladeva Vidyabhushana. Now, whenever you take up a book, important Vedantic book, whatever tradition may belong to, there is a way of analyzing that book and its meaning. One way of analyzing is based on Talparya Nirnaya. Upakama Upasamhara Abhyasa Pruvada Phalam Arthavadu Uvoticha Linkam Talparya Nirnaya means its beginning, its conclusion, what is the idea that is repeated again and again, Abhyasa, Apurvada means something unique about that book, and the result. And then what is being praised, extolled, what idea is emphasized and extolled in that book. And then the logical explanation. This is one way of understanding the theme of a book. And a more traditional, more universally accepted way is called Anubandha Chadushtaya, means 4 connecting factors, relationship, 4 connecting factors. If you understand them, you can understand who is ready to study the book, who is qualified to study the book, and what's the subject matter of the book, and what's the result we are aiming at by reading that book, we are studying that book, and ultimately what happens, how the purpose of our study and this book is connected. So these are technically called Anubandha Chadushtayam, means 4 connecting factors. It can be used as a kind of hermeneutical tools in expounding, in coming to conclusions. What is the central theme of a foundational text of Vedanta? One is called Adhikari, means who is fit and qualified for study of Vedanta, for studying that book. That is, so like for example, the soil should be ready before you sow the seed. So the person who is studying a text, he should have studied some of the earlier books, primary books, some primer works, so that he will be able to understand when a new book is taught a student. So in that sense, he should be well informed enough to understand the teachings of the new book that he is studying. So he should be free from ignorance, and he should be ready, and then he should have the power of concentration. Technically called in the Vedantic tradition is called Avarana, Mala and Viksheba. Avarana means ignorance. He should be free from ignorance enough to understand the new book. And then all impurities, confusion should be removed, malam, and distractions, and he should be able to concentrate. Such a person alone can be called to be fit, to be fully qualified to study a text. The second important element in the Anubandha Chadushtayam is Vishaya, the subject matter that's being taught in that text. For example, according to Advaitins, the subject matter of a Vedantic book will be Jiva Brahmaikyam. I mean the experience, the immediate experience, how we first get Siddhanta Jnanam, the theoretical conviction, intellectual conviction, then finally through Sravana, Manana, Nididhyasana, by listening, by concentration, by meditation, how we realize it in our life, according to Advaita. So, I'm just first, I tried to give the Advaitic approach, then we'll come to Baladeva's school. So, the important point is, in Vedantic tradition, in Advaita tradition, you should have made yourself ready to study the book. And then the subject matter is Jiva Brahmaikyam, the unity and oneness of Jiva and Brahman. And Prayojanam, the result, that study of the book should be able to help you to attain the cessation of all sorrows, confusions and conflicts. Taradi Shokam Atmavida. And the last factor is Sambandha. Sambandha means the relationship. It means the direct relationship between the text that is being studied, that you are going to study a book, and also getting a full understanding of the subject matter. How the book they are studying will help us to understand and to get a full knowledge, correct knowledge of the subject matter that we are trying to get. This is according to Advaita. Now, according to Chaitanya school, it is very interesting. Who is ready to study a spiritual work? According to him, somebody who has got enough concentration, a sense of sanctity and sacredness, Saddha we call it, Nishkama Karma. That is more or less agrees with the Advaitin's view. And then you should have sense control, mind control, all those good qualities, self-restrained, samadhamadi, etc. And then also he should have studied some of the foundational books of Siksha, Kalpam, Vyakarana, Niruktam, Chanda, Jyotism, and all other subjects. Subject matter is different. The subject matter in Advaita is Jiva Brahmaikyam, the intellectual understanding first, and then realization, real experience of the truth of our total identity with the Jiva and Brahman. This is the subject matter in Advaita. But in Baladeva's Govinda Bhashya tradition, the subject matter is, you should know that Krishna is the repository of all conceivable qualities, attributes and powers. It is inconceivable, eternal. Krishna is Purushottama. Krishna is the supreme reality. This realization, this fact, this central teaching is the subject matter, Vishaya, according to Chaitanya school. And again, the central book for them is Bhagavata Purana. Of course, traditional Bengal Vaishnavas in modern times, they give a lot of importance to Chaitanya Charitavali, Chaitanya Charitamrtam, all those Durgadas Kaviraj books. They came much later. But the central book, according to philosophical tradition, coming from Chaitanya himself, is Bhagavata Purana, which is a commentary on Vedanta Sutras. So, Krishna is the central theme discussed in the Vedanta Sutras. So, that is Shastram, Bhagavata, and then that is Vachya, means what is being discussed, what is being expounded in the Bhagavata Purana, that is Krishna. And then the book itself is Bhagavata. So we have to remember, according to Advaitins, it is one Nirguna, Niragara, Nirvishesha Brahman. According to Madhvacharya, it is Vishnu. According to Ramananda, Sriman Narayana. And according to Vallabha and Imbarka, some aspects of Krishna identity. But according to Chaitanya school, it is Krishna himself. Krishna as depicted in the Bhagavata Purana is the supreme Godhead. Isaguna Sabhisesha Sakara. With a form, with attributes, with innumerable qualities and powers called Bhagas. Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam. The statement in Bhagavata Purana is taken very seriously as a central teaching of Chaitanya school. Then prayojanam. And prayojanam, of course, cessation of all sorrows. Once you realize, when you get a satkar, as they call it, once you realize Krishna is the supreme truth, then you get liberation. It means you are liberated from the transmigratory cycle. This is the view. And then, of course, there are other aspects, I mentioned this earlier, in some of the well-known great statements, very Vedantic, very profound teachings in the Bhagavata Purana are taken very seriously as a central pramana by Chaitanya school. Vadanti tattvavid tattvam yajnanamadvayam brahmedi paramatmedi bhagavaniti shabdyade. So, bhagavaniti shabdyade. So, Krishna is this Bhagavan. And that Krishna is known as Brahma, Paramatma, etc. But Krishna, as depicted in the Bhagavata Purana, is the central, the supreme truth. Of course, they also quote some other well-known Gita slokas. I mentioned this earlier. Maya tatamidam sarvam jagat avyaktamurtina matsthani sarvabhudani nachaham teshu avasthidah. So frequently, of course, when we have almost 180 classes in the Bhagavad Gita in our YouTube, we can read. I describe this elaborately in the light of Chaitanya school, Ramanuja school, Madhvacharya school, and also, of course, Shankaracharya school. The whole world is pervaded by me. So, you find Maya tatamidam. Maya means by me. So, Maya, by me. So, I here, according to Advaita, is Brahman, Atman, one supreme central truth, divine spark, which is all-pervading, which is immanent, which is omnipresent. Now, that I, Aham, according to Chaitanya school, becomes Krishna. So that's why they call this as Pramana Shastras, Pramana Mantras, called Mayatidamidam Sarvam. The entire world is pervaded by me, by Krishna, in my unmanifested form, Avyaktamurtina. Everything exists in me, but I am not in them. Now, it means Krishna is in everything and everywhere, but Krishna transcends everything. Krishna is not exhausted by this world. So, this idea, we have to remember, if you are a student of comparative philosophy, you don't have a special allegiance to one system or other. From a metaphysical point of view, according to Advaita, I in this context means Atman. The same Atman is an effulgence of Krishna according to Chaitanya school. The same Atman is the all-pervading supreme reality according to Advaita school. So, practically, there's not much difference. I want to emphasize this point. From a spiritual perspective, when a spiritual seeker evolves, goes further and further in his spiritual evolution, there's a gradual growth and evolution, progression from many to one, from without to within, from external to internal. So, and Advaita does not reject any system. Advaita doesn't say that Advaita alone is only path. That's the greatness of Advaita. Advaita never proclaims that Advaita alone is the only path. Because everyone has to reach Advaita, but everyone doesn't begin with Advaita. I have to again repeat the great statement in Gaudavada system. That is, Swasiddhanta Vyavasthasu Dvaitino Nischidadridham Parasparam Viruddhyande Taiki Ayam Na Viruddhyate. So Shankaracharya Bhagavan Bhashikara says, Asmadiyoyam Vaidiko Dharma Na Viruddhyate. This Vaidika Dharma, the Vedantic truth, Advaita, has no quarrel with anyone. Why? Because everyone is an embodiment of the same Atman. So how can we quarrel with anyone else? And in the Bhashya elsewhere, Bhashikara says, you cannot hit your head with your own right hand. You feel the pain, so you can't quarrel with anyone. Yada suhasta hadadibi, suhasta padadibi, like the Bhashikara says. Anyway, so there is different matter. So no system is wrong. This is right, that is wrong. This idea comes only at the philosophical level, at the theological level. And theology and philosophy belong to Dvaita level, dualistic level. Now, Dvaita system, you transcend even philosophy and theology because you identify yourself with the entire existence. It doesn't mean that every object in this world is God. It doesn't mean, nobody says that in Advaita. It only says the same divine effulgence is present everywhere and present in everything. So, and of course I mentioned this earlier, the supreme teaching according to Chaitanya school, Baladeva school, that is Bhagavata is the most fundamental, profound commentary on the Vedas. It is written by Vyasa himself. 18,000 verses divided into 12 skandhas, 12 sections, 12 books, and altogether 336 chapters. And it traces the 10 incarnations of Vishnu. And Krishna is the latest incarnation. This is the view. So in the Bhagavata Purana it said Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam. I mentioned earlier the origin of the Mahamantra is found in Kalisandharana Upanishad and some other books. But the trace of that you find in the Bhagavata Purana. The Bhagavata Purana itself says that in the Kali Yuga, the easiest, the most direct way for one to enter spiritual life is to chant the divine name of God. But the purpose of that chanting the divine name of God is eventually to be established in the essence of the divine name as a fact of inner spiritual experience. So you often find in the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna and elsewhere you find Chaitanya himself was in a state of ecstasy. He transcended body consciousness. He was not aware of his own body, transcending, going beyond body consciousness. It's called Mahabhava and Madhura Bhava. Some of these experiences are very similar to the Samadhi experiences or the higher experiences that you find in Advaita tradition. I think that's a different matter. So, these are even because according to them, even Vishnu is one of the emanations of Krishna. In Bhagavata Purana, Krishna is an incarnation of Vishnu. So that kind of difference is there. Because according to Baladeva, Jiva, is the body, Deha. And this embodiment is the cause of bondage because of ignorance of the reality of Krishna. So, Ishvara embodies himself in a body. So, that is called Jiva is Deha. The individual soul is born, this physical body, and what is existing within the physical body is Dehi, the one which is there, present within Deha is Dehi. And when you realize the reality of the supreme truth of Krishna, then you get Krishna's grace, and then you get moksha, liberation. This bhakti is the only way to attain liberation, all the 5 types of bhakti. And of course there are a few differences, minor differences. For example, in the Ramanuja system elsewhere you find Tattvatraya, that means Ishvara, God, individual soul, and empirical world. That means Ishvara, Jiva, Jagat. But in Baladeva's system you find Prakriti is mentioned. Prakriti is constituted by 3 gunas, three gunas. That means Sattva-guna, Rajo-guna, Tamo-guna. And Prakriti is the power, the Shakti of Ishvara. And Ishvara is Shaktiman. He possesses Shakti, the effulgence, and that effulgence is the source of manifestation of this external world. And also Kala. So Ishvara, Jiva, Jagat, Prakriti and Kala. These are the five principles that Baladeva is talking about. This bhakti itself has three stages according to Baladeva. Bhakti is only means for reaching the highest Purushartha, namely moksha. I mentioned earlier, the bhakti has five modes, five bhavas: Shanta, Dasya, Sakhya, Vatsalya and Mathura. And of this Madhura bhava is the highest, the supreme. And the bhakti also has got this in ascending order, from sadhana bhakti, then bhava bhakti and prema bhakti, which you find illustrated in the life of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself. He used to lose body consciousness when he was in an ecstatic mode, identified himself with Lord Krishna. It's called prema bhakti. So we have given a very brief bird view of some of the, not all, but some of the metaphysical, philosophical ideas of tenets of Chaitanya school. It has got a great element of humanism. I have confined myself primarily to the original teachings of Chaitanya. And of course, based on the teachings of the three well-known Goswamis, Rupa Goswami, Jiva Goswami and Sanatana Goswami. So they have this famous mantra they utter, Satchidananda Rupaya Krishnaya Aklishta Karmani Namo Vedanta Vedyaya Gurave Buddhi Sakshini. So Namo Vedanta Vedyaya, Krishna, the great character of Bhagavata Purana, is called Vedanta Vedya, means somebody who is known through Vedanta. So Vedanta is Shastram, Vachaka, and Krishna is Vachya, the central theme discussed in the Bhagavata Purana, which again is the greatest commentary on Vedanta Sutras. So it is a great system with a great element of humanism, love and compassion for everyone. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu stands, they're more like Saint Francis of Assisi. If you compare, if you can maybe in Shankaracharya's system, his stotras, you can be called maybe like Aberold, or maybe he's a great composer, the French poet and theologian, or the Italian mystic Saint Francis of Assisi, like Chaitanya. But Shankara can be called, as according to Sittaniveda, he rolled into one of all. You can find there is Master Eckhart in him, there is Saint Francis of Assisi in him, because he's a great system builder. He's the one who founded the 10 monastic orders, to which technically Chaitanya also belonged, because his own guru belonged to the Puri Sampradaya. So anyway, this is a very interesting discussion we had. And after this, from next session onwards, we will begin, as far as possible, a very elaborate discussion of different schools of Buddhism. Thank you, Namaskar. We can have interaction. Most welcome. Thank you.
You mentioned one of the teachers believes that maybe Chaitanya said that the world is real, but it is not eternal.
Excuse me?
It sounds very much like Mithya.
Excuse me. Could you repeat in slide? Can you reduce the speed less rapidly, if you can speak? Reduce the speed of your...
In Chaitanya school, the world is real, but it is not eternal.
Yeah, the world, it is real, but it is anitya. So, Krishna alone is nitya. The world is real, but it is anitya. Purely from an Advaitic point of view, one may raise objections to the logical fallacy in this. But that's not we didn't enter that area of discussion. The world is real, but it is anitya. Because the moment you get satsarkara, the moment you get out of this transmigratory cycle, when you get liberation, when you moksha, at that time the world no longer exists for you. So, but at the same time, you have to remember there is a problem here, which is a hermeneutical problem. In Advaita Vedanta, you have to remember, it is not possible for you to call something both real and also anitya, means non-eternal. If it is real, it should be eternal. Because reality is always identified in the concept of something that transcends time, which exists all the time. So there is no time, it doesn't exist. And that reality is only Paramarthika Satta, that is Brahman. This world, in a way, is not real in Advaita because it changes. No, wait. If the world is changing, then it cannot be called real, Satta. Because whatever is changing, it cannot be called real in the absolute sense. It's real only in the relative sense. And the relative is called Vyavaharika. Remember. The same world is called Vyavaharika Satta by Advaitins. The same world is described as real but anitya by Chaitanya school. So remember, only Advaitins have this way of defining the absolute reality as something that transcends time and space. That which exists all the time, past, present and future, without any change, alone can be called real and absolute, a Paramarthika Satta according to Advaita. That criteria, that way of defining reality in the light of these criteria is not accepted by Ramanuja, Vallabha, Nimbarka and others. This is a very important point. So there is scope for anyone to say this is absolute reality, Paramarthika Satta, this is empirical reality which is Vyavaharika Satta. That kind of dividing Satta or reality into absolute, empirical and conceptual, Pradibhasika, that is not accepted by any philosopher other than Advaitins. So
what do you mean by it is anitya? What is understood by anitya?
What is it? Yeah. Anitya means that doesn't stay all the time. That's why I told you it is Satta, real, but not anitya. But remember, according to Advaita, if it is real, then it cannot be anitya. It should be nitya. This is Advaitins way of putting it. Advaitins tell you if it is real in the capital letter R, that is absolute reality, that always remains there without any change, that is only Brahman. Everything else is real only in the relative sense. And that relative reality is called Vyavaharika. So there is the way of dividing reality into three classifications. One is Paramarthika, the absolute, Brahman, Atman. Then Vyavaharika, the empirical, and the conceptual. Something that is, for example, when you mistake a rope for a snake, it is not a snake which is only a rope. The rope is Vyavaharika. The snake is Pradibhasika. Because you don't mistake a rope for something that you had never experienced any time. You have seen a snake. When you are seeing a snake in the zoo, the snake is Vyavaharika. But when you remember the snake, when you remember seeing the snake and then you mistake a rope for a snake, the same snake is a snake idea, not a snake. The snake that is lying in front of you in the forest, it is Vyavaharika. It will bite you if you touch it. But when you mistake a rope for a snake next day, because you remember seeing the snake in the forest, so what you are doing is, you are superimposing on the rope, not snake, but snake idea. So it is conceptual reality, pratibhasika satta. But the rope itself is vyavakarika. You follow the point? Now, paramarthika satta is beyond all this. You realize it only in your meditation, in your samadhi, when you become enlightened, when you get jiva brahmaikyam. At that time only you realize paramarthika satta. Remember? That's the idea. Thank you.
My question is, what is the place of the Guru in Chaitanya's philosophy? I know you mentioned something, but relative, like compared to the place of the Guru in like the Ramakrishna order, how does, what's the differences or similarities there?
Yeah, no, the Guru system, as it evolved, has something to do with the locality, the area where this tradition is practiced. Where they call in the Chaitanya system, you approach a teacher when you are ready. For example, adhikari. When you adhikari means when you are fit for it, you go to a teacher and you learn from the teacher the shastra, the book, and then you become a disciple. So you should have the traditional description of Baladeva Vidyabhushana. You should have studied Siksha, Kalpa, Vyayarna, we call the Vedankas, the different limbs of the Vedas, the secondary auxiliary studies of the Vedas. Then you should be humble, you should have all these qualities. Then you go to study from a teacher. And the most important book for them to teach and study is Bhagavata Purana. And Gita also is very important. And then Chaitanya Charitamrita, that is an example of a great devotee, archetypal devotee of Chaitanya's school. Chaitanya himself was the archetypal supreme devotee. So somebody who has got initiation or some instruction from that parampara, from the hierarchy, he will continue doing that. So that's the way. You see, the Ramakrishna mission tradition is a Vedantic tradition. It doesn't belong to this tradition. Chaitanya also is honored in our tradition. See, Ramakrishna himself in the Gospel, he praises Chaitanya as a great devotee. But Chaitanya was such a great spiritual person, a great humanist. So those who came to him, who surrendered to him, he taught them this Mahamantra. It's not discussed so much often, formally it is imparted, and he gave training to them. That's all. But Ramakrishna order belongs to Vedanta tradition. That's somewhat different, It belongs to the Shankaracharya school of Vedanta. Sri Ramakrishna's guru, Vedantic guru, was Totapuri. Puri is one of the 10 monastic orders founded by Shankaracharya. So, Puri, Giri, Saraswati, all that, So, these are two different streams of monastic heritage. You may find some, if you stretch enough, you may find some similarities, but these are two entirely different systems. So they don't accept the Vedantic teachings of the impersonal reality. Maybe Chaitanya, in his higher consciousness of the devotee, did not say anything. Like, Madhvacharya did not spare anyone, especially if a philosopher of Advaita tradition. Madhvacharya was very militant in his criticism. Chaitanya himself never used those terms. Chaitanya was a wonderful humanist. He was very compassionate, very human. I don't know, I don't want to extend this conversation and discussion to the later manifestations of Chaitanya school, which is beyond the scope of our discussion. But we mostly confine ourselves to Chaitanya, the great teacher, the great humanist, the great devotee, and also his six followers, the six Goswamis, primarily Rupa Goswami, Jiva Goswami, and Sanatana Goswami. And more importantly, the foundational book of Chaitanya system, that is Baladeva's Govinda Bhashya. So where he says, who is the right person to learn this spiritual tradition, Vedanta Sutra? He says he should be humble, he should be karma yogi, he should have mental purity. Many of those qualities are natural for Advaitins also. Spiritual fitness, that's true. And of course, the central theme of Vedanta Sutras, according to Govinda Bhashya, Baladeva Vidyabhushan, is Krishna himself. So, Brahman is Krishna, according to him. Say, isn't it? The Krishna, the personal idea of Godhead with attributes and qualities and great powers, compassion, all that. That is supreme. And what we call Atman or Brahman in the Advaitic sense is only an effulgence of that personal God. Because when you look at it, you may see the sunlight, the Brahman. But sun itself is the real thing. So Krishna is the real thing. And the Brahman, Atman, these are all different emanations, different manifestations of Krishna's effulgence, Shakti. Jagat itself is a Shakti. Krishna is Shaktiman, the one who possesses Shakti, power. That's the idea behind it.
So in this system, Krishna created Brahman?
Yeah. Brahman is nothing but the effulgence, manifestation of Krishna's power and glory. That's the idea behind
it. It turned it on its head.
Anyway, actually, Bhagavacharya would have nothing to do if you tell him that Vishnu is an incarnation of Krishna. But according to Bhagavata Purana, the famous book, it's nothing but a description of 10 incarnations. So, Sargascha Pradisargascha Vamsho Mananturanicha Ishani Charidam Cheva Puranam Pancha Lakshanam. There are 5 important characteristics of Purana. And Bhagavata Purana is supposed to be the archetypal, most complete Purana. Sargascha, Pradisargascha, Vamsho Mananturanicha, Vamshani Charidam Cheva, Puranam Panchalakshanam. So, origin of the world, then let's say the Pralaya, the effect going back to cause, that is dissolution of the world, then the stories of kings and dynasties, great sages. So many things are included in the Puranas. Among them, in the Bhagavata Purana, the central theme is the 10 incarnations of Vishnu, Matsya, Kurma, Varaha, etc. Vamana, Parashurama, etc., Balarama, etc. And then the 10th book, there is a description of Krishna Avatara, the Vishnu incarnating as Krishna. In the previous incarnation, he was Rama, then Krishna. So, but according to Chaitanya school, is Krishna is supreme, because the statement is the Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam. And the statement came from Vyasa. And Vyasa wrote Vedanta Sutras, Badrayana Vyasa wrote. He also classified the Vedas into 4. So when Vyasa says something, we have to take it seriously. So Krishna is the Lord himself. So that's the idea. Anyway, I tell you, from time to time, great devotees will emerge and they will look upon it in their own way. India is a museum of these religious philosophical systems. Okay, thank you.
Swamiji, my understanding is that in the path of spiritual progression, you move from bhakti to jnana, which to me also seems to be equivalent to moving from personal to impersonal God. But in the beginning of the class, I think I heard you mention that spiritual progression is from impersonal to personal. I may have misunderstood or misheard, but
okay. You're completely misunderstood. You can be very proud of that. Now the point is, I was mentioning one special peculiar teachings of Chaitanya school of philosophy. That means, that is, Saguna is supreme, Nirguna is below that. This is specific teaching of Chaitanya school of philosophy. Not elsewhere you find. When you talk about progression from Saguna to Nirguna, from personal to impersonal, you are actually talking about Advaita. But we discussed it much more elaborately than this. 47 classes you find Advaita, And then Ramanuja about 29 classes, Madhva also says 29 classes. Then Vallabha, Nimbaka and others. In Chaitanya school you find specifically mentioned Krishna, the supreme Saguna, Savishesha, Sakara, God, is supreme, and the impersonal Brahman is obscure, because when you are not able to see the personal aspect, it is incomplete. This is a specific view of Chaitanya school, not accepted elsewhere. You follow? Not in Advaita. Remember the point. So please listen to the previous sessions. Then you get a clear picture. Okay? Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Please listen the previous lectures. And today we have the last lecture. That's why today I was focusing on the teaching on the most important metaphysical work belonging to Chaitanya school. That is with Baladeva Vidya Bhushana's Govinda Bhashyam. So that's why I'm talking about Anibandha Chatushtaya. It's totally different from Advaita. So please remember, today we are giving the last of the Chaitanya school of philosophy. Please listen to the previous sessions. Thank you so much, and we hope to meet you next week onwards. Okay, thank you.
Yes. Absolutely.
Swami, I had one more question based on what you said. I remember that the concept of Brahman is that it's eternal, beyond time, space, and causation.
Yeah.
In Chaitanya school, is Krishna just permanent duration, or is he eternal, beyond time, space, and causation?
Krishna is eternal. Now, many of the questions, how can Krishna be the Saguna, with the form, with attributes, with all the definitions, the repository of all the qualities, how can such a being be eternal? Now, and then how from that Krishna this empirical world emerged? Remember, that is called Achintya, means inconceivable. So there is an element of mystery in the name of the philosophical system itself. Achintya-Bheda-Abheda. So there is an element of identity and non-distinction between Krishna on the one hand and this empirical world and different living jivas, and there is a kind of identity. Why? Because from Krishna's power this world manifests, his Surupa Shakti, from his Maya Shakti, this world emerges. How it happens? Achintya. So what's the relationship? At the same time, this world is not exhausted by Krishna. The world doesn't exhaust Krishna. The Mastani, I told you earlier, the Gita sloka I quote, So it's an element, there's an element of inconceivability, mystery, the relationship between or the description of the combination of identity and distinction. It is something inconceivable. Achintya is used here. That otherwise Chaitanya system would be called straight away a kind of Dvaita system like Madhva. See, Madhva is very straight cut. Little gross also. There is more subtlety in Chaitanya system. See, that's why he says, Maya tadamidam sarvam jagad avyaktamurtina masthani sarvabhudani nachaham teshu avastitaka. See, the whole world, everything in this world is pervaded by me. And then, by in my unmanifested form, everything exists in me, but I don't exist in everything. Everything exists in me because I am the one which pervades everywhere, everything. But I am not existing in it. That means I am not exhausted by this world, by my creation. So this creation and everything in this creation is Shakti, the manifestation of the power. And Shaktiman or Shaktimat. So you can find this Shaktimat means the one who has got the power. Shakti means power. And the Shakti itself, this world. So again, Guna, Guni. Guna means the attribute, the characteristic. And the one who has got, who possesses these characteristics. Guni is the one who possesses all these characteristics. And Guna is the characteristics themselves. The whole world is nothing but a manifestation of Krishna's effulgence, Krishna's power. So how do you bring in identity and non-identity? Mean identity and non-difference? No answer. The Achintya, inconceivable. So inconceivable, spontaneous identity and difference. Identity and difference. That's the idea. Non-difference and difference, so to speak. That's what it is. Madhvacharya is more of a straight-cut person. He didn't go very deep into it. But whatever he believed to be with a great emphasis and militant and dogmatic. But Chaitanya was more of a very... you have to remember, Chaitanya was himself a scholar. As a young man, he was a scholar. But then he didn't write any profound books as such. He wrote this wonderful, small little poetical classics, 8 verses. I refer to them, So, you should be humble, humility, compassion. All these are the things which are emphasized. That's got him more like a Saint Francis of Assisi of India, so to speak. Yeah, okay. Yeah.
So Krishna created time then in his system?
Exactly. Everything comes from Krishna. Prakriti and Kala. Kala means time. Prakriti means external world. Everything came from Krishna. So you don't expect Saint Francis of Assisi to write Summa Theologica or you don't expect him to write Critique of Pure Reason. Saint Francis of Assisi was a humanist. That's all. Okay, that's right. Okay.
Thank you, Swami.
Thank you.
They cite the verses Bhagavad Gita, Yomam Pashyati Sarvatra Sarvancha Moi Pashyati Saham Parashyami Satyamena Parashyati. They cite this to say that Krishna is everything in Chaitanya's.
Yeah, I tell you. Yes, there are innumerable verses in the Bhagavad Gita and also in the Bhagavata Purana which Chaitanya's system can take literally and justify their philosophy. Absolutely, no doubt about it. The point is, of these, Bhagavata Purana was not discussed so elaborately by either Shankara or Ramanuja. It's a very important point to remember. Gita, of course, was very important for all of them. So whenever Gita was interpreted by Shankaracharya, he interpreted these, Ahamsi, Mai Chananya Yogena Bhakti. Mai means Atmani, Parameshwari. You find the Supreme God, but as Atman, you find a qualification. Qualifying God as Atman, Supreme Atman, in Advaita. But in Ramanuja system, it will be Sivan, the Saguna Sakara, but called Sivan Narayana. Madhva as Vishnu. That's all.
It has to do with the first of the 4 connecting factors for studying a text.
Yeah.
You mentioned early on that the first connecting factor
Yeah.
was the qualification invitation of the student to approach the text.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering what you think is the best way of thinking about this. Some of the students who are overambitious and maybe not qualified for a text can lose their entire enthusiasm for a subject for a lifetime if they go in over their heads. On the other hand, some students are very shy about their own qualifications for a text. So is the right approach to encourage the shy and to maybe discourage the over-enthusiastic?
Yeah. So that's the question. So now, of course, in this originally, you find in the small little primer, Vedanta Sara, which describes this Anubandha Chatushtaya, 4 factors. So it's an ancient book, ancient work. So mostly these teachings, these disciplines were discussed and framed at a time when students are very serious, dedicated and committed to study a book. So after making elaborate efforts, maybe traveling long distances, going to Kashi to study, so naturally they will have all these qualities that we are talking about. But let us say, for argument's sake, somebody who is not intellectually, academically fit and qualified to read or study one specific text, from a spiritual context, because these are all spiritual books, and these ideas are relevant only mostly traditionally in the context of spiritual seekers. So even if a person is not technically qualified to study a text, still his dedication and his what we call saddha, his sense of sanctity and sacredness, that will compensate for all other deficiencies. Really happens. This may not happen. See, for example, in modern times, you are not studied physics, and then suddenly you want to join a masters for physics. You won't be able to do anything. That's a different matter. But in spiritual context, especially in philosophy, which deals with our emotional system. A true philosophy, which has a deep connection with spiritual life, has something to do with our emotional system. So when we become extremely dedicated, devoted to study a text, and even if you are intellectually not fully competent, reach the highest degree of competence, qualification, that deficiency will be more than compensated by great dedication, sense of sanctity, sacredness, personal sacrifices and all that. This really happens. Of course, this will not happen. You want tomorrow, if you go to medical, I want to study medicine because I have got great sincerity. It doesn't work. But suppose somebody who is interested in like a spiritual book. See, I tell you, I can give my own examples. Some of the questions that were raised during these discussions, even by students who have not studied any of the earlier books, they are so pointed, which means when our mind and emotional system are enriched by sincerity and dedication of a spiritual quality, then we go straight to the core of the subject. On the other hand, if I teach this subject in a university, though they won't ask these questions, their question will not be very profound. They will not be so life-oriented. That's an important thing. So I have myself experienced this while later I used to think. Many questions frequently asked during these sessions by listeners who are not studying Sanskrit and Vedantic texts for 20 years, 30 years, and almost none. Still, questions are so genuine, so profound, that these questions show that they are absolutely fully qualified to study. But your emotional system is spiritually enriched when you take a spiritual topic, spiritual subject with all sincerity. That's why I said it's not like studying medicine. An engineer suddenly says, I want to study medicine. He may be very sincere, but it doesn't work. Or you want to study aviation, for example, or shipbuilding, or you want to fly a plane. You can't do that. You may be very sincere. You have to go through the previous courses to make you ready. But that rule doesn't apply in spirituality. As I mentioned on a previous occasion, one English journalist living in New York, Paul Brandon perhaps, he read something about Ravana Maharshi and he went to India and there's a new life for him. But people living maybe 4 miles, 5 miles, 10 miles away from Ravana Maharshi's ashrama are struggling to come to America and study information technology. But so you can imagine, just joking, but I mean to say, in spiritual topics, these distances are irrelevant. Okay, thank you for the question.
Very clear. Thank you, Maharaj.
Thank you. Okay. You find innumerable students and sincere seekers wandering about in the Himalayas. At least quite few of them are very sincere, want to study. They may go and sit and listen to some of the classes. They will pick up something. It's not because they have studied Sanskrit in the previous years, because their emotional mental system is tuned to that topic in a deep sense, profound
Maharaj,
sense.
I'm very pleased to consider this point that the sincerely curious about spiritual subjects are inherently qualified.
Yeah. True, naturally. Thank you so much. So we will conclude, and next week onwards we will discuss Buddhism. Okay, thank you. Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Tat Sat Sri Ramakrishna Arpanamastu.